invasion, and by the day's end, the Allies gained a foothold in continental Europe. The cost in lives on D-Day was high. More than 9,000 soldiers were killed or wounded, but their sacrifice allowed more than 100,000 soldiers to begin the slow, hard slog across Europe to defeat Adolf Hitler's crack troops. D-Day ended World War II. 1945 must have been an exciting year. The microwave oven was created, the Slinky toys hit the shelves, the first atomic bomb was tested, and the first computer was built. In 1946, bikinis were introduced, and in 1947, Polaroid cameras were invented. The famous country music artists at the time were Eddie Arnold, Hank Williams, and Ernest Tubb.
There you go, then. I'm walking the globe away. I can't sleep a wink, that is true. I'm hoping and I'm praying that my heart breaks right in two. Walking the floor over you.
In the 1950s, many important events were take place. During 1951, the first color TV was invented. Also, Truman signs a peace treaty with Japan to officially end World War II. 1952, the car seat was created, and Queen Elizabeth became the Queen of England at age 25. Later, in 1953, DNA was discovered, and Hillary and Norgay climbed Mount Everest. Also, in Miami, Florida, Instaburger was released. Soon in 1954, Instaburger was renamed Burger King and enjoyed by many. In 1955 was the most breathtaking year. Disneyland was introduced, which brought joy to everyone. James Dean later died in a car accident. Soon the bus boycott began. Then Ray Kroc opened his first McDonald's, and Rosa Parks refuses to give up her seat. In 1956, Velcro was invented, as well as the first remote control. Later, Elvis was on the Ed Sullivan Show. During 1957, Dr. Seuss publishes The Cat in the Hat, and in 1958, the hula hoops became popular. Legos were invented, and NASA came to be. During 1959, The Sound of Music opened on Broadway, and Castro became the dictator of Cuba. In the 1950s, it was all about Hank Williams.
That's one I might just play. The midnight train is winding low. I'm so lonesome I could cry.
That brings us to the 1960s. The 1960s were a decade of turmoil. In 1960, the first televised presidential debate between Richard Nixon and John F. Kennedy is aired. Birth control is approved by the FDA, and the civil rights movement is going strong with the Lunch Counter Senate at the Woolworths in Greensboro, North Carolina. 1961 also begins the space race, with the Soviet Union launching the first man into space. JFK counters with his famous Man on the Moon speech. Peace Corps is founded as the Berlin Wall is being built. The early 60s bring struggles with the Cuban Missile Crisis, and the first person is killed trying to climb the Berlin Wall. In 1962, the first Walmart is opened. Marilyn Monroe is found dead at the age of 36, and Johnny Carson becomes host of The Tonight Show. 1963 marks the first woman into space. Dr. Martin Luther King makes his famous I Have a Dream speech during a civil rights march in Washington. Later that year, JFK is shot and killed in Dallas, Texas, leaving an entire nation stunned. Lee Harvey Oswald is arrested but killed by Jack Ruby during a prisoner transfer. During the mid-1960s, the Civil Rights Act is passed, outlining discrimination based on your race, religion, sex, or national origin. Beatlemania hits the U.S. as the Beatles appear on The Ed Sullivan Show, and Hasbro launches G.I. Joe. Cassius Clay becomes the world heavyweight boxing champion. The U.S. troops send troops to Vietnam, which lead to protests throughout the country. The first Super Bowl is played in 1967 as the Green Bay Packers take a 35-10 win over the Kansas City Chiefs. On April 4th, 1968, Dr. Martin Luther King is shot and killed in Memphis, Tennessee. James Earl Ray was arrested. Violence and massive riots engulfed the nation. As the 60s come to a close, a nation watches as Neil Armstrong becomes the first man to walk on the moon on July 20th, 1969. Sesame Street airs for the first time, introducing children to Big Bird, Cookie Monster, and Oscar the Grouch. Women enter the forced workplace, demanding equal pay for equal jobs as the women's rights movement begins, while Tammy Wynette sings Stand By Your Man tops the charts.
And by your man.
Gotta sing high on this one. Sing up high on
I
this
know I
one.
can't do it. I'll check with him.
Even though he's hard
To
to
understand.
understand.
This is great. This is the best present I ever had.
Oh, be proud of him. 'Cause after all, he's just a man.
Stand by.
In the 1970s. In 1972, the pocket calculator was introduced. In 1973, America's first space station was launched and the Sears Tower was built. The first call was made using a cell phone in 1973, although it would be years later that it could be affordable for everyone to use. Microsoft was founded in 1975, and later in 1976, the Apple computer was founded. Also in 1976, the Muppet Show premieres. Sometime in 1977, the Star Wars movie was released, and singer Elvis Presley passes away. Conway Twitty also hit the charts with the popular country song Hello Darlin'.
Hello, darling. How's things go for you?
It's been a long time, just been loving as you used to be. How's your new life? Are you happy? Hope you're doing fine.
In 1980, the video game Pac-Man was released and the Rubik's Cube became popular. Also, Ted Turner establishes the scene